What's up, man?
So
Another day in paradise?
always, bro.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Same here. You guys freezing your ass off up there, though?
What's up?
So, do you guys freezing your asses off up there right now?
Yeah, man. It's just been snowing and nasty. No fun.
That's what it looks like. I was talking to my family, and I mean, you know, in Massachusetts, you're supposed to bitch about the weather, but you're supposed to still be tough about the weather. So they're doing the thing, but it looks wet and miserable.
Yeah, that's all it's been.
I'm not a I'm not a big fan of most of the aspects of California, but I will say the weather has been fucking outstanding. It like rains a little bit. Like we've had a couple of days where it rained for like a couple hours, or at night it'll rain really hard a couple of times. But I mean, other than that, it's nothing, and it's for this couple of months. The rains start in like mid December. It started to get a little wet, and then by now, like we're done with the real rainy season. It'll still, mist a little bit at night and whatever, but from here it starts climbing. And by fucking the end of May, we're gonna have 110-degree days starting. That's hot. I don't like it.
Yeah, that's hard, man.
It was so shitty last summer. Um, the money was good, but I was working doing fire sprinkler installation work, and that's all steel pipe. And you're one of the first things going into buildings most of the time. And we did the Naval Air Station at Lemoore. It's like about an hour from Fresno, and we did it from. They basically had put in a concrete slab, and then the steel bones of the building. But it's like a big ass building, so we had to pipe. Most of the stuff we were hitting off of like 26-foot lifts, so probably like 30 feet, up in the air. And then there's like a gym, or like they called it a drill hall, but I mean, anybody else who walk in and go, this sure looks like a gym to me. um, I think the ceilings in there were like 55 feet. So we needed a special lift for that one. But we're up in the air, and there's no fucking ceiling. There's no roof on the building yet, even when we were getting up there, because we attached to the actual structural members of the building. Steel pipe's pretty, like, I think the main in there was 6-inch, so that's pretty big. 6-inch diameter pipe's pretty heavy. But that was like my first introduction to the summer here, was going out and doing that. I didn't really, I mean, I had come out, Heather had been here for almost a year, or about a year at that point. And so like I had visited during the summer, but it's not the same. Even
Yeah,
being here for a week, it's not the same. I was inside. I had my laptop with me. I was working on my computer. I was at the lady who Heather was staying with when she first got out here. We didn't get an apartment right away, because first we didn't know if she was going to like it enough to want to sign up for the program she's doing, and we didn't know if I was really going to want to come out here or whatever. Fresno kind of sucks, so we wanted to sort of check it out a little bit. And so I mean, I was sitting in this lady's house, like smoking pot and playing on my computer. And then like, I'd kind of go out a little bit in the morning and a little bit at night, but I'd, during the daytime, I was doing my thing. So I really didn't grasp how motherfucking hot it is. And it like at home, it's a big deal if we get a week in the 90s, like the high 90s for a week. It's like, oh, Jesus, we're all dying. Or like a couple 100-degree days with like a week on either side in the 90s. It's like awful. Oh, dude, it's 90 degrees at 5 a.m. And that's like the best you're gonna hope for all day. And and then like it's multiplied by the sun. Um, so my first, and obviously like I am very white, like it is not easy. And I didn't get when I got here the Mexicans wearing the long sleeves and the big hats. I was like, what are these assholes doing? You're gonna suffocate in there. Because I'm thinking East Coast, uh, you know, the humidity and everything else. And they were like, oh yeah, we'll see. We'll see how long you last before you've got long sleeves on and like a big shady hat. It wasn't long. It didn't last long. I immediately the style. What's up, Ryan? The style of hard hat that you wear at home tends to be more that baseball hat style. Everybody here wears one with a brim, and a lot of them add like an additional brim. Like they make these kind of like high visibility things, but it just gets oppressive.
Oh yeah.
It was crazy, but I learned to drink water. That's how you get through it. Like you get over it being hot. It's that your sweat is gone immediately. Like it saps all the water out of your body.
Right.
So you just got to drink. But,
yeah, I was in Africa. This oppressive heat, man. You know, like you just drink and you're still dehydrated. It was crazy.
Yep. What are you doing in Africa?
I was just hanging out in Egypt.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Fuck yeah. Oh, and Egypt's hot too. That's not the sticky jungle, right? It's pretty deserty.
If you're out in the desert, like you walk, I don't know, 100 yards, and you're pretty much already drinking through a whole water bottle.
Yeah. Ugh.
So, like you said, the long clothing, like you're wearing long clothing just to keep the sun off you.
Right. Yeah, it seems silly at first. It's like you want to cut your sleeves off and wear shorts, and then you realize, like, no, give me one of those big ass robes and some sort of head garment. Like, it all makes sense now.
People always make fun of like people in the Middle East. Oh, why they're wearing all that, blah blah blah. Well, part of it's just to survive, you know.
Yeah, you'd wear it too. Trust me. It didn't take long before I had my when in Rome moment. Like, oh yeah, can I have a sombrero? Like, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, right. Well, it's funny. You see all the European girls, they come with like, you know, tiny little shorts and all that stuff. But when you go out to the desert, completely, you know, wearing like long robes, skirts, headgear, the whole deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta. That's how people have done it.
Yeah.
How we doing, Rye?
Feeling, man, a little bit hungover.
I do see you chasing some sort of tablets down with some water. So,
It's my vitamins.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just fistfuls of ibuprofen.
I listened to some of the podcasts last night. I'm gonna listen to the rest tonight. Yeah, your origin story, man. I didn't know it was like that, bro.
Oh, you didn't know?
No. It was fucking awesome, dude.
Every time people hear it, they're like, "Are you fucking serious?" I'm like, "Yep, I did it. I did that. That was me."
I thought they already made it into a movie, bro.
Yeah, right.
Wasn't it called Joe Dirt?
Yes, it was. I prefer Joe Dirte as a pronunciation, but yeah.
And I also thought Foxhound was a reference to Metal Gear Solid, man.
No, man, I've never been a video game guy. I found that T-shirt like 12 years ago, right around the time I started Dog Brothers, and I wore it one time, and then I never wore it again until I became a full Dog Brother, and then I got to put it on again. But yeah, no, I didn't know anything about that. Was all explained to me after, because I started wearing the T-shirt after I became a full Dog Brother, and people would come up to me and say stuff about it, and I would have to go, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? Like, you're wearing that shirt and like it's well worn. I'm like, no, man, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm not. I'll play video games. I don't really.
You
know.
actually worked in a fucking foxhound.
Yeah, I took care of a bunch of hunting hounds.
That's fucking dope, dude. That's better than the video game story.
It was an interesting time. I have a lot of stories from that period. I lived there. I lived on the grounds for 2 years because like there's no real vacations when you're taking care of 50 big ass dogs. Like they need to shit and eat every day. They're not gonna stop. There's two things those things will not stop doing. It's shitting and eating. They're going to make sure, like clockwork, and they'll start eating each other. Like they're not pets. They will interact violently with one another. But anyway, yeah, I would say that first like few minutes was a little rough, but you can dig some good bits out of that whole thing. I didn't even realize.
No, I got pretty far. I'm listening to the last half an hour, I believe, the last 20 minutes or something.
Oh, okay, yeah. I haven't even listened. I've put it on in the background a couple of times, but I haven't really even listened to it since
it's really good, dude. I'm gonna go back and listen to the rest of those pods. I didn't know Phil Elmore did an episode.
Yeah. So Ace, I got to know Ace a little bit. The guy who is one of the, I think it's two guys. It's Ace and Loki run Delta 2 Alpha. They have some cool products. They have some cool training stuff. Yeah. Yeah, they're good. They're good guys. Ace is a funny dude, man. He's odd. He's from Saskatchewan, I think, and he's from like way the motherfuck up there. He's when he calls me on the phone, like it says Saskatchewan, but like it looks like he's calling from Mars. Because he lives way up in the miserable cold in Canada. But yeah, no, he's an interesting guy. He contacted me. He had become friendly with Thomas, with Kung Fu Dog, through different things. Thomas does his blade craft method knife stuff, and Thomas, Thomas is Thomas. So they had a talk, and he mentioned having seen me using, like, transitioning from stick to empty hand fighting in the context of weapons and drawing knives and stuff like that. And he mentioned it to this guy, and he asked me if I could show him any examples, and I was like, yeah, I can show you like little, I can record little clips from some gathering stuff and show you. I'm like, you can't show anybody, but if you want to see what it looks like, yeah. And I showed him like we went on a rabbit hole because he kept being like, do you have more? Do you have more? I'm like, yeah, man, like there's a lot of it. And so he watched all these little short clips, and he was like, do you want to be on my podcast? So we had one or two really long talks about stuff before, and then he called me up on like a Skype call and recorded it, but it ended up being really long. Like 2.5 hours or something like that.
That's a decent time for a podcast.
Yeah.
Listen to longer.
Break it up. You gotta kind of break it up into two. It was long. It was long, but I don't know. Maybe just listening to myself talk for that long was hard. But anyway, I was waiting to see if anybody else showed, but I think we're gonna be about as full as we're gonna be. So, hi guys.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Happy Valentine's Day. I hope, like me, you're ignoring it like it's not a real thing, because it's not a real thing. It's made up. Sorry, I'm such a fucking prude. I was so tickled that Trump got acquitted yesterday. I'm not a Trump guy, like you guys know that, but man, I had such a like this deep-hearted belly laugh at the people who tried for 4 years to screw this guy over. They gave it one last shot. It looked like he was done for. Like, it did not look good for the Trumpy Dumpty. And then his fucking defense staff goes, oh yeah, he incited some violence, huh? Here's a montage of the Democratic Party inciting violence for the last 4 years.
Serious montage,
we're gonna focus on this year. where not only did they incite the violence, people went out and fucking did it.
Yeah, that was great.
Anyway, so today we're gonna do some single stick. The last couple weeks, I've obviously not really been standing up much.
Oh, that sound is kind of, what is that? I guess it's
I don't know. It's not me.
No, it's me. Sorry, I'm at work. So.
Oh yeah,
I got the earpiece thing.
That's tape, packing tape.
No, it's a drill.
Oh,
I'll try.
I hear. Gotcha. It's the drill. Anyway, I'll
try and put the drill on mute.
Yeah, good. Tell that drill to shut the fuck up. So I've been doing some single stick stuff this week because I've realized that it's awesome to do stick and knife and double stick and whatever, but realistically, the majority of the fights that people are gonna have, or the majority of just encounters in the real world or whatever, are probably gonna involve something in one hand and not the other. You'd be pretty lucky to pick up a pair of matched sticks off the ground to engage that way. So I've been doing some single stick stuff. So most of this is super basic. What I'm going to show, building up to material that is it's some of the Tri-V materials. So if you've done any Pikiti Tertia, you'd have heard of Tri-V. Tri-V is often treated now as if it's its own simple or its own its own specific set of techniques. But people that have been around Pikiti for a long time will tell you it's part of the dose whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. What it is these ways to chain 3 strikes together into combinations, that work really well. So anyway, I'm gonna try and stand today and try and do.
How's your knee, dude?
It's seen better days, it's seen worse days, but I haven't had a choice because of work. I've had to be on my feet, so I've just been fucking doing the damn thing. I can ride a bike again, which is good. That was really hard for me because I couldn't lift my knee higher than this. Like, I have most of my range of motion back. I can do some stuff with it, but it's pretty swollen and it hurts still. It is what it is.
You should just take a leave and Tiger Balm, you know?
Yeah. Oh, dude, this is the best stuff. I'll tell you, if you can get a hold of some of this shit. This is Italian, this Voltaren brand, but it's Emul Gel, EMULGEL. I've never seen it here. I have a friend who's a flight attendant, and she got me some, but it's really, really, really good. It smells like an Italian whorehouse, but
shit
works. It definitely helped me bring down some of the swelling a couple of times, and it has a lot of the same properties as a Tiger Balm. But I've got Tiger Balm and Jow and that stuff and all kinds of other things.
Biofreeze, if you can get your hands on that shit is fucking great.
Yeah, I should get some Biofreeze. Actually,
you know any physical therapists out there that can help you out, hook you up?
I bet you Kaju could get me some. He's my man if I need stuff.
Yeah.
If I need scalpel blades or a syringe or something, I just call Dean and he's like, yeah, no problem, I got it.
That Biofreeze is crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's the best out of all of them.
When I banged up the knee, I was like, I need something, man. What do you got in the house? And he's like, and he kind of looked at me, he's like, everything from Tylenol to morphine. What level do you want? I'm like, oh, okay. We're going there. I like it.
That beats my Biofreeze guy for sure.
Yeah, we stayed with the ibuprofen, but anyway, all right. So
those aesthetics can do that.
What's that?
Anybody who does aesthetics can get you Biofreeze because it's used in a lot of aesthetic procedures.
Ah, that's good to know. I'll have to keep that in mind. Aesthetic. Anyone into aesthetics can help me out with that.
Well, yeah, if they've actually like gone to school for it, because you have to have the whatever the diploma for it. So
Okay, so
yeah,
it's
like
still prescription.
cosmotherapy or aesthetics and that sort of thing, then you can pick it up from like Cosmoprof or whatever.
Okay,
Well, yeah.
I will. I'm gonna have to ask Dean who he knows because somebody out here is gonna have to be able to get me some. I'm sure of it. Anyway, so I can only see Ryan, but I'll just assume everybody but Chris has some sort of a weapon in hand. And we're gonna start with just some basic stuff. So we're eliminating. So for my basic striking angles, we're just doing the downward angles and the upward angles for right now. We are going to work with a horizontal at some point, but we're just eliminating the horizontals. So just sort of from your basic fighting stance, start throwing 1, 2 with your descending forehand strikes, right? And then 1, 2, rising strike, rising strike. So on the rising strikes, I was explaining this to my in-person student Dan. When you throw the forehand and backhand diagonal strikes like this, is kind of, once you get the body mechanic for it, it's pretty instinctive and intuitive to do it. Like even an untrained person knows to do this. But so this is pretty instinctive. It's the rising angles where we're going to have to sort of concentrate. So, I mean, if you train the bolo material at all, like it's stuff that I train, this isn't that hard to kind of master the uppercut motion, right? So you have the rising diagonal from your forehand side. It's the rising diagonal from the backhand side that I feel like is a weirder mechanic. The way I describe it to people is like you're unsheathing a sword. Like if you see those Japanese fast draw videos, that's basically the motion that I kind of tell people that they should be using. So, the 1 and 2 are easy. The forehand or bolo strike, you throw like an uppercut, but you lead with your knuckles instead of leading with your fist. If you have a stick, so that's one of those like sword stick differences. If you have a stick, you can throw it a little bit more like a punch. You can lead it with your knuckles because this is a really skinny stick. It doesn't matter that much where you strike someone on the stick. I still kind of harp on doing good body mechanics just because it's better that way. You don't have to be like, do I have a stick or do I have a sword? You're just lined up. But the way that we're doing it in this case is we're throwing so that our knuckles are acting as a guide for where the blade would be. Realistically, you don't have to do that. You could throw it like with the inside of your hand, like a bitch slap, or you could throw it like an actual uppercut. Doesn't matter that much. Whatever your personal ability to generate power is can sort of guide how your hand is. I personally prefer to always try and throw my stick strikes as if they were a sword. It's just my way. There are certain things that work better that way anyway. But even though Top Dog said, this, it's a stick, it's not a sword or a magic wand or whatever, it kind of is. So even though in a stick fight, you have to treat it as a stick because that's how it's going to behave. In training, I do think training with it as if it's a sword makes sense. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So forehand diagonal, backhand diagonal, forehand rising, backhand rising. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Okay. So as we do this, then switch hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as we go through, Just keep in mind, those are sort of your basic cutting angles, right? Those 45-degree angles. And actually, it's a little tighter than 45. 45 is a little more of a true X. You really want to kind of bring it in a little bit. You want to sort of, this is something that Pikiti would teach, or actually early on in the Dog Brothers tapes, Top Dog talks about, instead of having a really wide X, kind of make it more of a tall, thin hourglass, because you want to be striking as much of the time that your weapon is engaged in the motion. You want it to be attacking your opponent's body. Big hacky X's like out like that are, they're fine, but they're a lot easier to visualize from your opponent's point of view and to block. He's got a lot more time. But if you have things in tight, it's a lot harder for them. And like I said, you're kind of making more contact with your opponent's body for longer. Sorry, I'm coffeeing up still. This is my morning routine has not been completely fulfilled yet. I did the embarrassing parts that I can't do on the camera, but the coffee part's important. All right, so
are we switching our lead legs, or are we just staying
stationary? Doing that, we were just, that was all your upper body mechanics. So kind of just stand in whatever way was comfortable. Okay. Generally, so generally when you're doing a drill, your weapon hand and your weapon foot would both be forward at the same time, but it doesn't really matter that much, especially like I talk a lot about wanting to be able to do things from both sides, and being able to switch sides when you fight being really important. So, if it feels better, unless it's like specifically I'm saying like, all right, so we're gonna do this footwork out of this lead, play with your leads a little bit. Play with them, gotcha. Try, be like, oh, does it work better over here? Does it work better over there? Do I like doing this in off lead? It's not wrong, basically. Right. As long as it's not, like I said, as long as it's not a specific part of the drill. So, all right, now we're going to work in the forward triangle, right? So from your regular sort of just shallow fighting stance, stepping forward to the right on the forward triangle and cut, switch forward to the left, uppercut, uppercut, right? So first step, cut, switch, second step, cut, switch, cut, switch, cut, right? So this is just working off of the forward triangle or the female triangle. I still haven't 100% solidified my terminology on that yet, but I'm trying really hard not to use, I'm trying to eliminate Dog Brothers terminology as much as possible from how I explain things. So female triangle or forward triangle is the first part in that asterisk. So 45 to the right, 45 to the left, right? So as you step, you cut, and you step and you cut, and you step here, cut, uppercut, cut, uppercut. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then at some point, switch hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That sound is crazy.
So when you switch to the other side, you don't have to change your footwork at all. Just keep moving your feet. You just switch which hand your weapon is in. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I keep encroaching under this fan, and eventually I'm going to break one of these things. I'm using the lightest thing I have is that sword. But
what happened to your tiny sticks?
The tiny sticks are all right, but you can't see them too good, and they don't move the same. Like they don't do the same thing as something that's proper length. I have them they're right here. Little sticks. That was perfect for when I had to be in the chair. You know what I mean? Like those little sticks were great. All right. So once we work it on both sides of the or I'm sorry, with both hands on that first triangle, right? Now we're gonna do it on the reverse triangle. Here is where we're gonna make it weird, right? So if I just step back, if I just step back to the right and throw across like this, that's fine. But realistically, if I have a sword, I am putting my own leg in the path of danger. So this is where we're gonna mess with it a little bit. We're gonna throw the backhand first. So we're gonna step back and throw the backhand when we step here. And then when we come back here, we throw the forehand. So see now, we're throwing into our open side instead of throwing at our lead leg. You like to think you wouldn't drill yourself directly in the leg with your sword or your stick or whatever, but fucking you can. So here, we're going backhand first, and then we're going forehand, right? And then we're coming from here, and we're going, and we're going backhand, and then forehand. So first step, backhand cut, right? Step back at the 45 and cut at the 45, right? And then as we come back, cut that way. And then as we come back, cut that way, back, cut that way. So now from the male triangle or the reverse triangle, step back, right? So that's the footwork. And now we're just doing it with reverse cuts. So if you need to just throw them from the higher position first, from the descending position, do that to get used to it. And then start adding the ascending cuts. So this is one thing that you can think about when you throw these rising cuts is the cut and the block are not that different, right? So I hit my shit. So cut, block, same thing. Cut is all the way out here with the uppercut, block. It's a very similar motion. Your block can come out here or your cut can come out there. It's all about where you point the tip and your follow through. So these motions as you step back with the rising, this could be a block, right? It could be a cut or it could be a block. Sometimes it helps to think of that. For right now, we're concentrating on it being an actual strike as opposed to a blocking motion. So from cut, right? And then as you come back here, cut, 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 cut. Ooh, little knee twinge there. Keep going. I'm good.
Wait, so real quick.
For a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the female triangle, stepping out to the right, cutting, left cut.
Yep.
What's this one? Third one?
So now, uppercut. So bolo strike. So if you're doing the forward triangle, all of your strikes are synchronized forehand, backhand with the foot that's moving. So stick and foot are moving to the same side. As we go back, we're doing the opposite. So that first step, we're cutting this way, then we're cutting this way, then we're cutting this way, then we're cutting this way, or the other way around. That way. Yeah.
That bolo strike is kind of hard to do in this tight ass kitchen.
Yeah, you got a little space.
Yeah.
But keep it tight. So in that case, all right. So that's a good point that you're making. You're in a smaller space. maybe the bolo strike
Real
wouldn't
small.
even be something you do in there. So
Right.
in that case, turn those strikes into the blocks. Make them tighter to your body. You know what I mean? So as you step back, make it a tight block.
Here.
Yep.
Here.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
And here.
Yeah. Doom stepping forward too, though, because we're separating. So right now, we're not doing the whole asterisk thing, or I guess this is missing the middle. Just do the forward triangle or the reverse triangle.
Right. So forward 1, forward 2. Write this shit. Forward 2, 3.
So 1, 2, right? 3, if you're in a tight spot, you can do this one of two ways, right? You can either go like a block, or you can do a tighter shot, right? See how I'm still cutting up?
Right.
Like that. It's just much tighter than a bolo strike. I'm making this big uppercut motion. But if you're in tight, say you're in below deck on a ship, like you're not going to be able to swing a wild like that. You're going to have to make tight cuts.
Here.
Yeah.
Here.
Yep. And then same thing with the other one. You can either make it as big as you want. It could be a big cut the guy's head right off, or it could be a kind of cut. It's the angle, and then maybe it's a block. Maybe it's a parry, and you can parry riposte kind of thing.
My phone's ringing. I'll be right back.
Sure thing.
Hold that thought down.
Okay. So
Smaller weapon to practice with.
what's that?
Or use a smaller weapon to practice with.
Or use a smaller weapon to practice with.
Like a meat cleaver.
There you go. That's a good one. I have a sweet meat cleaver. Check this thing. I barely ever use it. So come on, check this motherfucker out.
I have like half a bag of it. I mean, yeah, there's 2 cups in here.
You mentioned meat cleavers. So I'm a firm believer that basically everything in the kitchen can be done with a chef knife. An 8-inch chef knife. If you can't do it with that, get the fuck out of my kitchen. But I do have some other like specialized knives. I found this in my parents' garage. It was completely covered with rust. The handle was all gross. This is just the patina on it now. But I stripped all the rust. I sharpened it up a little bit. It's a Bridell. I don't know if you can. Yeah, you can't see the maker's mark, but yeah, this thing's got to be like 100 years old. But you could definitely fuck somebody up with it.
Yeah,
it's
Jesus
heavy.
Christ.
Oh yeah, it's my cleaver. It's my Bill the Butcher. If I need to, if I ever need to have a battle in the street, this is coming with me. Because one good
That's
one.
One hitter quitter, bro. That's all you need.
This thing's got to be like 3 pounds of steel. I mean, look how thick it is. But no, Schiefer was just saying, in your environment, you could just use a shorter weapon, like a meat cleaver. And I was like, check out my cleaver. Yeah, it's it's not a fast weapon, but
Butcher's knife works too. It's got less heft.
True. Yeah,
I don't have a lot of space in my area, so if I try to swing a stick, I'm hitting like everything. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah, if I'm not pulling in tight, but that's not always how I want to practice the movement, right? Because I want to practice it reaching out too, right? So most of the time I'm practicing just with a knife in hand, so
That's good too, though. That's
and that
like,
works.
yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, it's the
Because you want
same
the,
mechanics, right? So
I was just gonna say, you want the consistency of body mechanics as much as possible. Yeah, no, there was a couple of weeks where I couldn't really stand up out of my chair, so I was just using the shorties. And yeah, you just make the body mechanic the same thing. And anyway, all right, cool. So we're back. We're back. All right. So we worked that forward triangle and we've worked the rear triangle, right? Where we're cutting this way, cutting that way, cutting that way, cutting that way, right? And we link those together in different combinations. So forehand, backhand, forehand, whatever. Then there's two kind of, so these are just sort of my 1-2s. It's like 1-2, 1-2, right? Lonely dog this week. So I'm not gonna, it just happened to be that Lonely decided to release that one side of the X video this week when I had already been working on this shit. So go watch buy his fucking video. Like, I don't want to take any of that guy's thunder because he's better than me. And but I right away, I happen to already be looking for some material to share here, and he released that. So the one side of the X is basically, instead of us cutting like this, he's cutting here and there. So he's following the same line, right? We're about to do some of this kind of stuff, but he's cutting like this, because if the X is this, right? Like what we were doing, we were creating the X, right? The X from above and the X from below. So Lonely is talking about doing one side of the X, cut down, cut up, same line, right? And like I said, go buy his stuff or watch his free video or whatever. I will always point to the person who's doing it better than me, but we're just going to go one step farther with this stuff than that. So through these basic motions of the descending diagonal and the rising diagonal, you're able to build a lot more of a vocabulary than people are going to necessarily think about at first. So most people are used to this, right? They're used to 1-2s coming like this. So to be able to break, especially, you're in a fight and you engage a few of these kinds of things with somebody, to break this pattern by doing that, when they're expecting this, you can score hits on the undersides of their arms. Rising strikes are really hard to block. You can basically just get out of the way. From my experience, if somebody else has a better knowledge about rising stuff, I'd like to hear it. But anyway, so that's Lonely stuff. I don't ever think, like, we all do it where when we're probing, we'll like hit once and just kind of move around, but you should never just hit once. You should always try and stack them up. So in stick fighting, I sort of consider a diagonal number 1 to a horizontal backhand to be the equivalent of like a heavy jab cross. That's Top Dog 101. Eric Naus is famous for that combination. You can see him doing it in many videos of his dog brother fights. So that's something I think everyone should have, right? Forehand diagonal, backhand horizontal. So the forehand diagonal could be it could be a bridging motion. So you might need to close on the other guy and you throw that forehand diagonal, to cover yourself as you close. It could be disruptive, hitting his stick. It could be an attack, hitting his hand. You might be hitting him in the head, who knows? But that first strike is the setup, right? The second strike, the backhand horizontal, that's the the knockout shot. That's what you're looking for, to scramble his computer, right? So forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand. there's a couple of things going on. Number one, especially if you've shown forehand diagonal, backhand diagonal a couple of times, right? You got the guy thinking in this structure, or you've thrown forehand roof block a few times, right? So if you're throwing forehand roof block, a lot of the times people are going to fall into roof cycle. They know it. Most of us know it. We do some version of this, right? There's some sort of this is going on. So whether you've conditioned them to see this and respond to it, or this and respond to it, right? This is going to get you a different result. If you condition the guy off of this and you choose to throw this, you're going to want to move. So, because they're most likely going to block your forehand and then cut forehand themselves. So you're going to want to be offline. You throw your forehand and then stand here, you might end up eating theirs, or your best case scenario is you merge the force of their strike and knock their strike out of the way. Instead, you want to step on that cut. So now you're offline. So like right here, you can see I'm kind of blocking these things behind me. As I step and cut, I'm not there anymore. And then turn into that backhand, make it a power shot.
When you make it into a power shot, are you stepping into it like
you're throwing it like a baseball bat swing, right? Like I'm swinging
from the original first step.
That's gonna depend on how close. That's gonna depend on how close they are. That depends on how close they are. So that first step, we're just getting offline so that he doesn't hit us. And then here, you're turning into it, right? You can use your offhand as a power assist. This is something that, like, when you're learning how to do single stick, certain systems will tell you, like, oh, keep your hand here or whatever. Other systems will tell you, you know, put your hand behind your back, you know, some sort of fencing shit. But realistically, you want your hand to be moving around. So the way that it was taught to me by Green Mountain Dog, when I was throwing a forehand cut, my backhand would go to the hip. Like what we were doing on the empty hand, where my offhand goes to the hip, either to draw a weapon or to just have it out of the way. But then on the backhand, he slaps his bicep. And I didn't get that at first. Pat would do, he would go 1, 2, right? And he would slap his hip on this cut, slap his bicep, slap his hip, slap his bicep. He would do this. And you can see him do it. He still does it. And I was like, what's up with that? And he's like, because if you throw a backhand and you want to do it with power, instead of just, this is just for training. You know what I mean? For training purposes, you do the slap thing, which doesn't really grab me. I don't really do it like that. But it makes sense when you go cut to here, and then you've trained your hand to come up. Boom, now you have the ability to assist with that backhand. It's also good to have it there, honestly, for roof blocks sometimes. If you have a big power swing coming at you, having the ability to back up your roof block is good. As well, the other benefit of doing this behind a roof block is once you crash, your hand here is in a position to snap in, overwrap, and secure the arm. So there's multiple reasons to have your hand there, but I like having it there to power assist on the backhand. So the strikes, cut 1 to backhand, cut 1 to backhand, right? Like that. And now if you want to add a step, if you don't have space to do it, whatever. On the cut 1, we're stepping out on this side of the triangle. So if this is our forward triangle, we're stepping to our left on the cut to get out of the way. And then we're turning back right in. So you could step if the guy retreats. You know, if I have to come out here and then step to chase him, I can, but you don't need to do that. You're just getting offline with the step. You're not getting far, you know. So it's step, cut, step, cut, step, cut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, And then after you do a few of those, switch to the other hand, step. Good.
Fuck. Man, the left side of my brain is like not working.
The old left side. I was talking yesterday about, the complementary and dominant hand thing versus, good hand, bad hand. Sometimes I call my left hand my dumb hand, which, you don't want to hurt its feelings, but on the flip side of that coin, the neuro-linguistic programming side of things, yeah, if you keep calling it your bad hand, it will be your bad hand. I mean, that's true. Crafty, I like to make little jokes about our friend Mark, but he's right about a lot of things. And
That's my strong hand. That's my strong hand.
It's my strong hand. Just making mashed potatoes with my strong hand. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. Anyway, so okay. Backhand, right? Cut to cover, backhand. So this is one that you should be throwing, like, if you're practicing on your own, if you're training, you should be training these, right? These. Those are your building blocks. Some people call them abecedarios, whatever. Obviously, there are vertical strikes, there are circular strikes, things like that. But most likely, it's going to be 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and then horizontals. Because you can throw these angles anywhere. You can throw them at any height. You can change level however you need to. If you're cutting at someone's ankle, it's still a backhand. Same way as if you're cutting at their head. It's just all going to be about your height and your distance control. So those are sort of the basic cuts. Now we're going to work in a thrust, right? So a thrust with a stick is much less of a big deal than a thrust with a sword. And I went over this with my student Dan yesterday. He's big. Dan's like 6'3", and he's a big old boy. So I was like, just walk forward at me. And I just put my stick in my hip and kind of did this. Just like, I just moved my hip from A to B. And it went pretty far into his gut. And he went, oh, and he took a step back. And I was like, that sucks, but it's not that big of a deal. I was like, if I just did this with a sword, you're going to bleed to death. Like, that's the difference between the two. You walked forward and I just moved my hip and you'd be dead. Versus with a stick, you gotta rail somebody with that thing to get a real reaction out of them usually. The examples I've seen that are different is to the face. If you catch the guy coming in forward, you can put the back of his head over his heels. Like, you can make guys stumble back like that. But for the most part, thrusts in a stick fight come from like, either you catch somebody at long range to the face, or you close in. Like Phil Jelena is really good at this, where he'll close behind a roof block. Well, he'll do it 2 ways. He does one where he puts his stick way down like this, and then he just pops it up and pokes you in the face from down below, which is such a dick move, and it's just spill all over it. But the other one he'll do is he'll come in behind a roof block and thrust. Mm-hmm. So he'll cover the distance with the roof block, and then he gets close. And I do this too. When I step into thrust a lot of the time, I try and put my opposite side forward because it gives me the most bang for my buck, right? If I'm here, I can kind of get to there. But here, number one, I'm back a little ways. I can use my offhand to keep them from stopping my thrust, because that's what if you're trying to stop the guy, you want to stop his arm. You want to kind of pop him here. But if I can keep my opponent at bay, I can get the thrust in like that, right? We're just practicing straight line. Like, this would be like number 5 thrust in Bikini, because there's different thrusts. You can thrust like that, you can thrust like that, you know, you can thrust low. We're just going the standard right in the guts, Bikini torsion number 5. You can do it straight or slightly rising. Slightly rising is good because you get them right in the solar plexus, like that. So instead of the fill combo, what we're gonna do is the same idea that we just did, but now instead of angling way off, we're gonna kind of come in a little tighter. We're gonna cut to here and then thrust. So it's cut, thrust, cut, thrust, right? Cut, thrust, cut, thrust. Right. Thrust. So the thrust could be high to the face, right? It could be lower into the abdomen. Realistically, it could be low. If you had a sword and you were thrusting, you could thrust into the thigh. There's big blood vessels in your thigh, your femoral artery. You guys probably all know, the guys that are here. I mean, we have a pretty interesting skill set of just humanity in general right now on this call.
Now, on this one, are you doing this more of as a probing attack, or are you doing this on the charge?
Yes. So this could be either way. Like if you've got the guy on the run and you think you can just thrust him and cause him to back up, that might set you up for another combination. If you're doing it with a sword, you could be trying to end the confrontation with the thrust, where the cut, same idea as the last one. The cut could be either to cover your distance, to disrupt their weapon, to attack their hand. It could be an attack at their face to make them sort of lean back to open up space for the thrust. Or like you said, it could just be a probing attack. I could be out here and be like, what are you doing, kind of thing, and see if you can catch them with it. See if you can make them react to the thrust. Because people have a hard time with this, with the straight line stuff. One of my uncles told me a long time ago, straight rights win fights. And what he meant by that was don't throw big haymakers, because guys see that coming. If you see that coming, you expect it. A straight punch right down the middle is a lot harder to detect coming at you. And anybody that's ever boxed will know a guy with a good jab will fucking eat your lunch every day.
Usman did it to Burns last night.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, that was good stuff. He did. Burns came out like a bat out of hell. And Usman started really popping him with those jabs. And Trevor Whitman's a great coach. I really like Trevor Whitman. And it seems like he had a good game plan. And I find Usman to be kind of fucking boring most of the time. And that was his best performance I've ever seen. That was a great fight.
He did great.
It was a great
straight
fight.
line thing, you're right. Like sometimes, like when I spar, I really want to thrust. I really want to thrust, but I feel like my thrust, it starts out good and then it like gets wonky, goes that way, goes this way. It totally misses. Like,
dude, I'll tell you, put some X's on Bob, on his eyes, and practice stabbing Bob in the eyes from range. Not like you can do it from Libre range in tight, and that's all well and good. Practice stabbing Bob in the eyes from like a step and a half back with your stick. Yeah, or whatever your long range is for your stick.
It's not. I'm super short.
It might not be that far. Like, okay, maybe 3/4 of a step. You figure that out on your phone.
Hobbit length.
What's that?
Hobbit length.
Right, Hobbit. Yeah, exactly. If you can get him with sting, you're good.
Yo, man, Tom. When I was sparring Tom, I think in October, I was using this stick.
Yeah, that's a little guy.
And I was using this combination exactly. And I was getting him a little bit with this in the beginning, but once he got that range, I couldn't close, like you were talking about. He had total fucking. He was dominating me, and then he just kind of like popped me in the face. Dude, I've never been hit so hard. It was just a straight up,
just a quick
thrust right to the face, bro.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's on video, and that shit, dude, that's so white.
That's the worst. When
That's so
somebody gets a
white.
sick highlight on you, and you're just like,
Different than getting hit with a fist, you know. It's like, especially with that mask on, that shit echoes and shit.
It is.
It's
So
brutal.
the mask artificially extends your face, right? So you're getting hit before you'd normally be getting hit, and it magnifies that because it's all attached to your head, and it whips your head back. So you can definitely use that that to your advantage with a thrust to the face. It's a great move. It's a great attack. Sorry, I'm just adding something to my notes right now.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
When you fought, I know you had a lot of fights. When you fought, have you ever come across somebody that was so aggressive and had great footwork and that new range and all that you just had to start just straight up fighting defensively only? Like you had to just do your pure defensive fighting.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like no fucking offensive. It's just like you're just defending yourself against this person.
Yeah. The first time I fought Dancing Dog, I just ran like a coward for
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I managed to, the one good thing I did in that fight was like I managed to kind of suck him in and teep him where he fell down onto both of his knees. But then when I tried to hit him while he was on both knees, he dodged it like the fucking Matrix and stood up like Michael Myers. And I went, oh no, and I had to keep running.
God.
Yeah, so Vincent's
That guy's a
terrifying.
nightmare, dude.
Now I treat it a little differently. I'm not as afraid of him. I'm still pretty afraid of him, but I'm not quite as afraid of him. And I have learned that being aggressive helps. I personally
Did you ever have to like abandon aggression and just go, oh shit, let me just counter this guy and
I'm more likely
be pure defensive
aggression with somebody who's not as good. I'll start trying to counter fight somebody who's not as good. I don't want an aggressive guy to get on his horse because there's people that once they start a combination are gonna like I'm not gonna be able to stop them and I'm gonna eat something. So there's people that like I would just try and stifle if that was the case. Sometimes that's not gonna work. There's people like Beowulf, Mark Houston, haha, good fucking luck, asshole. Like when that guy starts moving, you're good luck. I think I've fought him once or twice, and it's scary as shit. You're just trying not to get hit with all the things he's throwing at you. He's a pretty aggressive fighter. And if you try and match it with aggression, you're probably gonna lose that fight.
Right.
You know, he's one of the few guys that has actually physically penetrated the body of an opponent with a fucking aluminum training blade.
Oh, I saw that video.
He stabbed
right
Mongolian Dog. And Mongolian Dog, I would have that day said was the toughest guy in fucking Dog Brothers. And I probably still, if Chime came back, I wouldn't be lining up to fight him. We'll put it that way. Because he's a savage bastard. Anyway, so I need to use the restroom real quick. Practice that forehand cut to thrust from both hands for a minute. So forehand cut, thrust, and I'll be right back. And yeah, we'll keep doing the damn thing. I have I want to get through into the Tri V stuff at least for you guys, so that you sort of see where my mind was on this. And I also want to show you the historical European shit. So I'll be right back.
All right, do your thing, man.
That's recorded.
It's a forehand cut thrust. Forehand cut thrust. Wait a second. Forehand cut thrust. Forehand cut thrust. Forehand. Wait a second. You there, Chris?
Yeah, man. What's up?
He said forehand cut thrust.
Yep.
And then all right, because I kind of want to go up. All right.
Just forehand.
I was confused. My brain was getting a little scrambled up. Forehand cut thrust. Shit. Forehand cut thrust. Forehand forehand cut, thrust, forehand cut, thrust, forehand cut, thrust, forehand cut, thrust, forehand. Oops. Thrust, thrust, forehand cut, thrust, forehand cut, thrust, forehand cut, thrust, thrust, using the fucking refrigerator as a target. Should have been doing this a long time ago. Wait a second.
All right. Feel much lighter. Anyway, so forehand to thrust, or backhand to thrust works the same way. So once you get the forehand thrust, you can literally do the same thing, backhand thrust. Backhand thrust is a good one too, because a lot of the time you can do it while you step offline on that backhand shot. So you step offline and your weapon's right out here. This is a good way to try and get somebody in the face on a drive-by, right? You're out here doing your thing, you cut that backhand, and then you continue on the same line, but you could try and sort of just pop it right over their block. So cut from the backhand, come over the top. That's just like a little trick play deal. Like I wouldn't necessarily count on that one working all the time. But it's a little bit of fun. So now we're building off of, you know, our regular 1-2 combinations to get to these 1-2-3s. Because you know, a lot of people have it in them. What's that, Chris?
Oh no, I'm sorry, nothing.
Oh, so a lot of people have it in them, you know, through training or sparring, rote learn stuff to deal with 1-2s. So getting that third strike in helps a lot. And, you know, just building your combinations from 1 to 2 to 3 strikes is it's part of just progression as a fighter in general. So what we're going to do to make these 3-strike combinations is add what some people would refer to as a reverse shot. So first we're going to do reverse 2s, right? So a reverse 2 is a backhand that comes from the forehand side. Whoops, I just hit myself in the head. So you're out here, right? Boom, now I'm throwing a backhand. So it seems like I'm on my forehand side. It seems like I'm going to throw a strike from here, but realistically, I'm going to throw from here. So here, I'm like, oh, I'm doing this. Ooh, reverse 2. So I didn't set up my backhand by doing this, and I wasn't here. I wasn't like waiting like this to throw it. It's coming from the forehand side, and your hand. So the kind of path of motion of your hand is you come in from here, your hand goes across your face, and the tip of your weapon kind of comes around your head and comes through for the backhand. Right? So you're on your forehand side, backhand. This is very similar to the Malayu strike in a Dog Brothers staff sense. I have to get on my knees so I don't break anything here. If I had a staff, this is the Malayu strike, right? It comes from here, boom, and it comes down there. I'm hitting my fanny pack. Okay. So with the stick, same thing. Oop. Oop. So we're coming from this chamber. They're thinking to be dealing with something like this, and you're coming on the other side. Right. I'm just trusting you guys are getting this other than Ryan. I can see Ryan, but everybody else is in different. Schieffer's got a green screen, and I just see Chris's iPhone. So
That's
we're
all I
coming
got.
forehand around the head, boom, strike.
Is it a straight? Is it up
Diagonal.
here and then this way, or up here? Oh, you said diagonal.
You're not doing this. You're out here, and you're just bringing it around your head. You're doing it quick. You want it to just clear around your head and come from the other side.
So keep doing that. Do it again. One more time.
And it's happening rapidly, right? And then with the other hand, it's obviously same thing. Right. So you want to kind of practice it with both hands. So I'll give you guys the notes for all this too. And when I upload this, I'll give you the links. Oh, just like a quick thing. So I finally figured out how to do recurring classes. So this link that I gave you today is good for Sunday mornings till April.
Nice.
The one for tonight will be good for Sunday nights until April. I'm doing my best with this shit, and I'm figuring stuff out like 1 week at a time. Like a couple weeks ago, the video recordings was like a big deal. So now that was my next big deal is like,
hey man, progress, bro.
Recurring class. So yeah, sorry, that was a side tangent, but you'll have all this stuff to check out and go over so that you can train on your own or update your own notes or whatever. I've been keeping, I know I've sent people a couple of pages, but I've been keeping very like concise shorthand notes of the class stuff that you can use to go along with in the videos or in conjunction with your own notes. I don't really, I have another notebook that's full of like all kinds of shit all over the place. This is just very point by point, but I've kept basically every class that we've done in that form. So if people want that, please ask me for it. I'll send it to you. Okay, so that's reverse
I gotta organize all this stuff.
The other one is reverse ones. So we're on our backhand side, and now we cut from the front. So from here, cut from the front. Okay. Backhand side, cut from the forehand. Same idea, right? We're out here. They think you're loaded for something like this, and you go, oh, cut from this side. Right? From your backhand, cut to the forehand.
So, man, it's basically an angle 1, but an angle 2 chamber.
Correct. And it's like the angle 2 off the angle 1 chamber. So we're this is, like I said, this is sort of building. We worked the first 2 strikes, and now we're working in the 3rd strike in this combination. So basically, I'll just jump into Tri-V. So Tri-V is a part of the bikini.
Is that Chris? Sorry, I'm sorry. That's Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I had no idea.
You were directly talking to him a minute ago.
No, I thought I was talking to
you were talking to Chris.
the other Chris.
Wow.
Oh, Chris, what's up, dude?
We have multitude of Chris.
Sorry.
That was pretty funny. I enjoyed that. All right, so now we're gonna string this shit together. So a Tri-V combination, they have Tri-V is a system, but really what it is a block of combinations that work. The way that Piketty describes them now is like open top and closed top combinations. We're just gonna do two right now that I think would be designated as closed top. But these are the two that I use. So the first one, right, is we're coming with a cut on the forehand. So we throw like a number one, and then we throw that rising backhand. So we're cutting that same line. So this is where what Lonely Dog was teaching this week comes into what I'm talking about. So you cut down and you cut back up, same line. Boom, boom, right? This could be stick hand. This could be hand head. This could be bridge the gap stick. It could be whatever in terms of your footwork or your distance off from your opponent, but it's cut on the same line. I don't know if you figured it out yet, but now it's gonna go cut around to the reverse two. Cut, right? Forehand cut, backhand rising cut, reverse number two. Cut. Right, so here you're throwing one strike along this line, another strike on that same line, but coming from the opposite angle, and now you're switching sides to this line, right? Cut. Here also is where stick to sword as well as target are going to dictate what you do on the rising cut. So if we're attacking with a sword, you're probably going to rotate your hand back over and make this an actual cut with the edge of the sword, or depending on your angling, you might keep your hand this way and knock the other guy's sword away. There's this move called Freile, which executed properly is you kind of dish the guy's sword out of the way and then cut like this. It looks an awful lot like the ending of this drill. But so we're cutting here, coming back up on the line, and cutting the other side. And then switch hands. Oh, so I meant to say, so practice it both ways. Practice it where your knuckles are leading, like you're cutting. When you cut back up, you're cutting their hand, and then practice it the other way, like you're knocking their sword offline with your back edge. So there, or there. Forehand cut, backhand rising, reverse two. And you can make it work with different types of footwork, again, depending on your relative distance and your angling and what you're trying to accomplish with the combination. Forehand cut, backhand rising, reverse two. Forehand. Yeah. Yeah, you've got the basic idea of it, Ryan. That's yeah. So like I said, you kind of play with that one, play with your footwork, and especially if you have something to aim at, like a bob, you can kind of start to figure out where that fits into each different footwork. You know, where you have to be aiming as a target area versus,
Yeah.
you know,
I just started using the refrigerator. I had this game here.
using the fridge.
Yeah. Okay, want me to grab those?
I got one more.
You can come this way. You don't mind being on camera.
I got one more. So this is
Yeah.
the sort of mirror pattern within that tri-V block of material. So the first cut is the backhand now. So now we're going backhand, rising, forehand, backhand, rising, forehand. So we're out here, we're gonna go. Right, this one works good if you've got kind of one of these motions going on with your stick. Right, so it's cut down, cut up, cut down, cut up. And then, I don't know if you figured it out, but we're coming around the fucking head on this one too. So cut down, cut up, go around. Cut down, cut up, go around. Cut down, cut up, reverse number one, right? So this is why we were doing that number one, but from number two chamber. It's because we're doing this. Cut. Forehand, I'm sorry, backhand diagonal, forehand rising, reverse number one. Backhand diagonal, forehand rising, reverse number one. Backhand, forehand rising, reverse one. Cut, cut, cut.
Backhand diagonal, forehand rising.
Cut. Right. And then it's cut, cut, cut. And then reverse, backhand diagonal, forehand rising, reverse number one. So backhand, forehand, forehand, right? Oops, backhand, forehand, forehand. So your strikes, numbers 2 and 3 on both of these combinations are coming from the same side of the body, but they're coming from completely different angles. All right, so from here, you're cutting that backhand, you're cutting a forehand, so it's coming from the left side of my body, and this is coming from the left side of my body, but they're coming at such drastically different angles that the person would basically have to be reading your mind to be able to block them both. Their best chance at that point is to just not be there, especially if you're coming in, if you're pressing your attack with some urgency, you're probably going to get the guy. So backhand, forehand, forehand.
Oh shit. Backhand.
Backhand, forehand.
And backhand.
Forehand, forehand.
Backhand.
Backhand, forehand.
Forehand. Forehand.
Backhand cut, forehand. Haha. So backhand, forehand, forehand. I'm doing this is so I've switched to my left, so it's a little goofy, but smoother. It's like backhand, forehand, forehand, backhand, forehand. I don't trust my left in here not to break everything in the room.
Man, what was that footwork real quick?
So footwork wise, I was just screwing around. So you've got different options here. So if you're fighting out of your sort of standard lead, that backhand, you could just come in. You could just come forward and charge the guy. But what I was doing was I was like stepping out on the backhand and then doing forehand, forehand, and kind of just creating triangles.
Okay.
But yeah, no. So I wasn't concentrating so much on individual footwork with this one because I feel like it's a really multi-purpose set of combinations. But yeah, you could do it off of, you could just do it off of the male and female triangles even, you know, the forward and back triangles. You could work in the different parts of the asterisk. You could make diamonds. It works in different ways. That's part of what I was saying about, you know, do it in front of a bob or a heavy bag or something, just so that you can kind of start to visualize where it actually fits in. But that's one of those, you know, traditional style combinations that immediately translates into actual fighting. Pikiti's like that. Pikiti is, from what I've seen, the most directly combative Filipino martial art without having to go outside of what their training methodology is. Like, you know, Pat never taught me any Dog Brothers stuff. I learned that stuff later on from Joe Dix. I didn't get that from the first couple of years of doing Pikiti, and that's, you know, that's sort of the way that I frame a lot of this stuff in my head anyway. So, but anywho, does anybody have any questions? That was I did what I always do, and I just threw a lot of stuff at everybody.
Yeah, that's good, man.
So I don't know. Anything?
No, that's something that I've seen people do. I just never, you know, it's not something that that Crafty teaches that I've seen. So I just never thought to work it in. But it does have, like I said, I've seen people do it successfully. I just never not to learn it.
It's like everything, you got to set it up, right? Like you have to have the setups to make anything work, really. Yeah.
Like I've been messing around with something similar, more along the lines of how Lonely holds a stick in the seatbelt position. But when I transition, because I'll do the same thing where I'll transition from the backhand to the forehand, but I try and keep it as subtle as possible. Where like if this is my stick, I'm here and I'll just kind of shift it here to fire off from this side, or if I'm here and then I'll just shift it here and fire off from this side.
Yeah,
but not in a continuous motion like how you're kind of doing. So it's something that's interesting. So it's something I'm gonna play with.
Cool. Yeah, no, this stuff is I consider it to be basic, but like if you can do, with the exception of blocking, I didn't cover any blocking, but like if you can do all the stuff I did today, you can single stick fight. Like that, I just covered single stick fighting with the exception of blocking and legs. We're gonna talk about legs as soon as mine's healed enough to do it. That was one thing that this guy Carlo that I've been working with, he's been on a couple of the group things, but I do a class with him in the morning during the week. And when I sent him a picture of my knee, he's like, "So are we gonna talk about leg shots next week?" I was like, "Ha, you fucking smart ass." Like, no, it's gonna be a couple weeks because I can't move very good right now. But we'll get to that. I have some thoughts. I mean, a lot of how I handle that is just move the leg. The Illustrissimo cross step is like, he kind of nailed it. That guy nailed it. Just fucking move your leg, man. Don't put it there. And then like step 2, hit the guy while he's downstairs. Which a lot of the time, you know, even a really committed leg shot, a lot of the times you end up cracking the guy in the head because he doesn't have a good it's not just about the setup. I'm sorry, it's not just about the cover motion. People sometimes think that you know, oh, you get the leg shot and then you cover your head coming out. Like that's half of it, but the first half of it is setting yourself up so that you can even get in there for the leg shot. Because you know, some people will eat that leg shot to give you one right in the head, and
Mhm.
realistically, like, that's not a good trade. Yeah, it's not a good trade. I got hit in the knee at probably like 10:30 a.m. During my second fight, my first weapon fight, I think, and it didn't affect me to the point where I couldn't fight anymore until like almost 3. So for the first, I don't know, call it like 2 hours where we were continually having matches, like I was aware that something was wrong. Like I was aware that I had done damage, but even from the adrenaline of just sparring, I was able to continue doing what I needed to do for quite a while. That headband is epic. I saw your 80s ninja shit.
Thanks, man.
It's
Yo, I'm gonna
awesome.
send you one, bro. I'm gonna buy you one, okay?
Yeah, you find me one of the, tell me what it costs and I'll Venmo you, because those are
Don't worry
awesome.
about it. It's on me.
Yeah, so the shot to the leg, I mean, yeah, it affects me now, but it didn't affect me at the time. On the other hand, you could take one to the peroneal nerve directly, that will prevent you, that'll drop you in the moment, but you'll be fine in a couple minutes. So, you know, it's not that you want to let someone hit you in the knee. You don't want to eat those very, very often, but at the same time, like, you don't want to trade getting a leg shot on someone that might not affect them for a while and then eat one right to the face. So the setup is important, and then the cover motion at the end, because nothing pisses someone off quite as much as smacking them across the leg with a stick. So they're going to try and hit you afterwards for sure. So anyway, that stuff.
Do you feel you have to go get an X-ray or checked out at all?
No.
Like,
I mean, if
medically?
I tore my ACL and like fucked up the MCL and meniscus in that leg a long time ago, and I've like beat it up since. I've had a couple of knee issues playing rugby and things like that. It would have to be way worse than it was for me to go to the doctor, because MRIs are really expensive. Like an X-ray doesn't show the soft tissue at all. An X-ray just shows the bones, and I knew I didn't break a bone. Like if you break your patella or something, you fucking know that immediately. It hurts like shit, and you freak out. From what I've seen, but so I knew it wasn't a bone break deal, or if it was just little cracks, and there was nothing I could do about it anyway. And there's nothing they can really tell you until the swelling goes down a little bit from doing like a basic. Like you can take the knee and the upper leg and you jam it in different directions, and if it moves a lot, you got a problem basically. Like Kaju said he'd do that for me when the swelling went down, but as the swelling went down, I was like, no, it's all right, man. I'm getting my range of motion back right away. I got slammed really hard with a big Bowie knife trainer in the fucking knee. Like, I knew what the mechanism of injury was. There wasn't a twist. Nothing popped. And like I said, it was fine for hours, like totally fine. I was leg kicking people. I got hit with that big fucking halberd. I ate a couple of leg kicks. It just eventually the stress of the day, like I definitely should have just stopped and put ice on it instead of spending the rest of my day fucking beating the crap out of it and then being like, why doesn't my leg work? That's how I roll sometimes. Anyway, anybody have any other questions?
I did want to say, when Ryan said that the hardest he got hit in sparring was by Tom, I kind of took that personally.
Oh yeah.
And
you hit me hard too, dude. Trust me.
So next time I see you, bro, like I feel like I got something now.
Oh shit.
So I'm gonna be working on my power and just hitting the weights and hitting the kettlebells for the next few weeks.
Oh darn. I'm in some serious trouble.
You done fucked up now, Ryan. You reap what you sow, man. You reap what you sow.
My lips zipped.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, if nobody else has any other questions.
You said you were gonna bring something about the HEMA stuff. I don't know. You didn't.
Oh, yeah. You're right. All right. I meant to. Yep. So, it's possible you guys saw this on my social media, but I'm finding. I mean, just in this one Talhofer book, I've found so much stuff that directly relates to things that we do in grappling and striking, and then FMA stuff kind of all comes from the Messer, right? The Messer is the German long knife. Well, the long Messer would be the German long knife. So these two frames, right? He just cut up from below. I think. Let's see. Yeah, no, it doesn't show. So this guy just cut from below, and then he comes back on the same line from above. So this is that upper cut unsheathing, and then cutting back on angle number 1. So he must have come from like a low guard and then to angle number 1. But so this is where this stuff gets kind of funny. The people that are doing this stuff now that call themselves like, that are like, oh, I do HEMA, like it's martial arts, whatever. Kinda, except we don't know. So I'm guessing, right? Based on my knowledge of fighting with weapons in this other system, I'm guessing that's how he got here, right? It sure looks like it to my eyes. We don't really know. We have no idea what happens between this moment and this moment. Realistically, like this guy looks like he's just shifted weight down, maybe shuffled back to let the guy fall into that space. Losing a hand like that would be pretty traumatic. Like you might look at it and just kind of go into shock. Like shit happens. But so this is all very experimental. These guys are just assuming what happens from this move to this move. So anytime you see someone on a HEMA page, and there's some really good ones, but anytime you see somebody on a HEMA page dueling or going through and showing, there's different, this particular book is a bunch of different panels of different things. There's like halberds and shit. There's let's see, do we have the dueling shields? These are pretty fucking sweet. The Germans used to fight with just big shields with spikes on them. That's pretty fucking German right there. And then the real fun one. So this is all judicial dueling, I think, in different ways. There's the Messer, there's dagger stuff, there's some horse stuff. You got like lance versus crossbow and shit. But then where it really gets interesting is that Germans used to do marital duels to the death. And to make it even, the guy would stand in the hole with a club, and his wife, or the woman he was having a dispute with, got a rock and a sock to hit him with. So, but like this shit gets savage, man. She's raking his eyes and like fish hooking him. He's pulling her down in the hole, and God knows what's gonna happen. I mean, this is one of the most goddamn German things I've ever seen in my life.
14th century was fucking crazy.
This is how we solve things in Germany.
Better than divorce court.
What's that?
Better than divorce court. Got more of a chance. It's more fair to the guy.
Yeah. Well, hey, you still got to stand in that hole up to here, and she's got that sock.
I'll take my chances.
Well, yeah, yep. So that's that's
next time you're coming down.
I don't know, man. I gotta think about it. So I got a little bit of goodwill built up at work this week. My boss and the 2 kitchen managers took 3 days off in a row together to go out to fucking Pismo Beach and like party it up. And they left me in charge. Me, one other guy, the owner's dad, and the poor kid that works in the speaker shop in back. like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna go great, guys. Luckily, we didn't burn the place down. Nothing really bad happened. We didn't get any Yelp reviews or anything of us being terrible. So I'm gonna use that to my advantage and try and come down. But I'm also thinking about, I got to get Dean on board. But I'm thinking about doing a seminar up here in a couple of weeks, maybe a month, maybe like middle of March, where we'd have some guys. I get these guys from Modesto, other guys from Antioch. That's the name of the place. There's a few guys from around that have expressed interest in training, but like it's kind of far. So I was like, well, if we did maybe like, we meet at 9, do like a 2-hour seminar or something like that, where I do half, Dean does half, and then have fights in the afternoon, kind of thing. Have a barbecue and have fights in the afternoon. So that was basically what we did anyway, for fucking free for these guys. And I was like, it's one thing when it's like, our friends, guys already in Dog Brothers or whatever, but it was like Ben Sarasi's crew came up, and like, I shouldn't even call it Ben's crew. It's Tyler's crew. Ben's just part of it. But yeah, I'm thinking about doing something like that. So I'll keep everybody posted, because I'd love to have anybody that wants to come up for the day. Dean's got a pretty good sized place. If people wanted to crash or whatever, we definitely would work something out like that. But yeah, so I would like to come down at least to LA, but maybe come all the way down and see you guys sometime pretty soon. I'd also like to, I know for various reasons it didn't go down this time, but Andrew was talking about, getting some traveling stick fighting done. So maybe joining up with him at some point for a couple of days. Coming down. Cool. So think about it.
Yeah, no. If you have something like that, I'll make the time.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I'd like to get Omega up here again. He came up and trained one day, and we had a really good time. So I'm sure he would jump in. And like I said, we'd be pulling in a couple of different groups of guys from other places too. So we get a little fresh look at some people, which I don't hate. But anyway, I need another pot of coffee, but I'm doing this shit again at 6 my time. So I don't know. If anybody
I might join you this time. I won't have any old English.
That was pretty funny. I said to Michael after,
How about that?
hey, Ryan's usually not disruptive at all. Ryan had a couple of malt liquors last Sunday, but it was forgivable.
Yeah, and I hardly drink those anymore. I got pretty fucked up.
You celebrating Tom Brady?
I know my girl was watching the Super Bowl, and I was just like, had a joint, and I said, let me just do something fun, and just bought some malt liquor, man.
Yep.
And I drank it for no reason.
All English. All right, guys. Well,
yo, Matt Barry, thank you so much, Chris. And Chris, great to see you and talk to you. Chris, don't hit me too hard next time.
Hey, man.
Tab Tools, great to everyone to see her. Have a good Sunday. And hopefully I'll see you tonight. And if not, Matt, I'm going to send you that ninja stuff real soon.
All right, man.
Look at your address. All right, folks. Take care.
Later, guys.
There you go.
Peace.